Right, part 13. Now, I think I've solved the mystery. So, let's check Spinner for example. Let's look at its alpha channel. That's how it should look, because the black part, that's the alpha part. But if I look on 9 square, for some reason it's not. For some reason it's like there is no alpha, even though I definitely saved it with an alpha channel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna remake it. Slightly odd, but anyway, odd things seem to happen a lot when making maps. So where's the colour wheel gone? And I want Verdana. Right, let's try that again, shall we? Let's do it there. So let's import that. Okay, this is really irritating me. Why is it doing this? Bit depth. Or, well, obviously it's not detecting it properly. Okay, so I think for some reason Paint.net just wasn't detecting that there was any alpha for some reason. So that was strange. Okay, right. Let's save that as 9 square. Alpha, not translucent. That was really strange, that. There we go. That's what it should have looked like. So I'm going to focus on making the mini games now. I'll do the last bits at the end, the important bits, like making the logic arena. For now, let's just copy this. And okay, I'll make the spinner. I'll just go in order. I'll make the spinner first. Now, what we're gonna want here is to have. We're gonna need some teleport triggers in here. Same thing. Now, what I'm going to call this is minigame. I'm going to call it mini. Well, what did I? Yeah, I'm going to call it minigame red telly. Make sure clients is checked. Start disabled, yes, but we're not going to give this a remote destination for a reason. Now, if you go on if you turn Smart Edit off, you'll see that. Well, let's suppose it had a destination. Just an example. If I turn Smart Edit off, you see it's called Target. That's what the key is actually called. But we're going to leave that blank for now. You'll see why. Let's give it a filter though. Filter red. And let's copy that. Change the name to, I'm going to call it minigame hail telly. And I'm going to give that a blue filter and put that back down. So So they're not actually going to teleport you anywhere to begin with, but we will change that. So let's make our spinner area. I'm just gonna make it just make it here. You can do make hollow. Just give it an outwards negative value. It doesn't really matter. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm probably gonna put water, but I'm also gonna do. Let's just make a circle, and then I'll split it in half. That's kind of an easy option. I'll give it 16 sides just to make it a bit smoother, and maybe make it a bit bigger, like that. And yeah, I'm gonna split it in half. This is a really cheap way of doing it. We'll say that's the red side, and that's the blue side. And we're going to want some teleporters, teleport destinations. So that's going to be spinner, hail, dest. Or you can call it dest, hail. Doesn't really matter as long as you know what it is. Now you're gonna want a block bullets brush down the center so that you can't shoot each other. I tend to do it. Make sure it. Oh yeah, let's set it to block. That would help. I also do it all the way down so you can't like shoot grenades underneath. So we're gonna need a trigger hurt underneath. Trigger hurt. Give it a load of damage. And I'm also gonna make some water. I'm just gonna keep them at the same level here. I'm gonna use the dev water as well. And for the sides, I'm going to make them generic skybox. Gonna put a skybox on top. And of course, let's make sure the floor is textured. So that's our spinner area. Now we need to make the actual spinner itself. I'm going to do it using orange. I'm going to make the spinner 32 by 32. That's a decent one. Alright, let's make sure that it's wide enough so you can't like stand on the edge or anything. Now, the easiest way that I make a spinner or sweeper is I set the max rotation speed to 1,000. And then what I do is... So for sweeper, I will have blocking damage, but for spinner, I tend to parent a trigger over it, which is probably the best way of doing it. I parent a trigger hurt. I'm just going to make it wider just so I can select it, then make it smaller. Well, okay, let's name the sweeper first. So, well, spinner, I'm just going to call it spinner rotating. And that's sort of it. I'm going to make it not solid. And then trigger hurt. The amount of effort it takes even to make such a simple map like this. Now imagine those people who make like fancier maps. It's all about the amount of time you want to put into it. I'm just gonna make it the same size. Now, what you're gonna want to do is make something called a math counter. Spinner. I tend to call it the increment counter, because that's what it's going to do. It's going to increment the speed of the funk rotating. Because what we're going to do is outvalue spinner rotating. Now, something special with math counter entities is that outvalue. So outvalue will output the value that's currently in the math counter, and it does that whenever it updates outvalue. So it whenever it gets a new value, it outputs that with outvalue. And spinner rotating, we're going to set the speed. I find this to be the easiest way, because now I know people used to do different methods because funk rotating was broken at a time, but it got fixed in 2018. And this is what you should be using. There is a way to do it using fizz motor and whatever. But I do it like this, because if you set the speed to 1,000, by the time it gets to that speed, no one's going to be able to survive it. And what I do is I slowly increment up as a fraction. That's how I do it. So you can leave that blank, because the parameter will be the value that's in here. You'll see how it works. So timer, logic timer. This is going to be what keeps updating our spinner. Start it disabled, but call it like spinner timer. Refire interval. So for this, the refire interval is going to be how often we want to increase the speed of it, because every time it refires on timer, it's going to increase the speed of the the increment counter. See, we're going to add 0.01. So it's going to slowly get faster. You might want to change it. It depends on, how smoothly you want it to be. But this is just going to go up one, it's going to get to 0.01 of 1,000 is 10. So that's going to go up. It's basically going to speed up by 10 every 5 seconds. Which I think that's sufficient. You can fiddle with it and change it to what you want. You can even use 0.01, which would be smoother, but remember, you don't want it to take too long. So, remember, this won't start until we enable it, but once it's enabled, it will start firing, and then it will get faster. And the math counter, see, that's what's going to keep the value, because it's going to add 0.01, 0.0, and it's going to be, 0.02, blah, 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 blah. It's just going to keep doing that. Now, we're going to want some music. I haven't really thought about what to do for the music yet. I just want to check that this is working first. So, in the spinner trigger, what we're going to want to do, well, we're going to want to delete those, and instead we're going to do on trigger. So those minigame tellies. The crude way of teleporting players at the end was to have like multiple teleport triggers for each minigame, but that's crude. It uses up unnecessary edicts and it gets messy. The better way of doing it is to have one trigger for the minigames. Well, remember, the way we've done it, we've got the two holding pens. So we got the trigger that brings players here, and then we've got the trigger that brings players from here to the minigames. So remember I showed you how the actual value for the remote destination is called target, because that's the target. So we're going to use add output. This is where it gets a bit advanced, but it's not as hard as you think. What add output does is it can add a new output to an entity, which that can be very useful in some cases, or it can change one of the key values. So the key value we want to change is called target, and you have to do it as if it's the value. So target space, and then this is what the target is going to be. Spinner. Oh. I've turned something on there. I'm actually not sure what the hotkey is. So target spinner. Spinner red dest. And we're going to want to do the same here. Minigame. Why have I called it red? Minigame red telly. Minigame. Why have I done that? Okay. I'm getting a bit stressed right now. Howdest. I'm actually not sure what I've done there, but it doesn't matter. There's some things in Hammer that I still don't use. Now, once we've added the output, then we're going to want to enable it. We're going to want to do it like... I tend to do it like 0.01 after. And then that will teleport everyone to the spinner. So let's test that. This is irritating me, so I'm gonna undo that. I'm probably just gonna restart Hammer for the next video. Right, minigame red telly. Well, the other thing we've got to do is obviously start the minigame. So spinner, timer, enable, but we'll do it after 5 seconds because it's still going to wait 5 seconds to start, so then that's like 10 seconds in total. I've got to figure out what that is. Come on, turn on. Cheats.
Freedom!
Let's go in here. Well, actually, it's not going to start in time because now the rounds can restart. Come on.
Kill 'em all!
Cowboy! Now this should start to spin if I've done it right. There we go. Of course I've done it right. Bye. Now this is a bit slow, although it is going to start up. You can start it off faster and then keep the increments going by forcing math counter to have a higher value. See that they're respawning because we're not on arena mode. Alright, I might even make it like 0.2. Or I could just reduce the refire time. Depends on what you want to do. I've realised, yeah. I'm going to restart Hammer because this is irritating me. I might make the refire time 3. Could make that 2. Alright, that should be a bit better. Let's go and test that. You can set it to whatever you want. It depends on also how big your area is. How big the spinner area is that you can stand on, because obviously the bigger it is, the faster you want it to go, because players, if they stand further away, they're going to have more time to jump. See if bot ad 5, come on, let's go.
Power them lads!
I just want to see it work. Let's go. I'm still waiting for 5 seconds before it starts. Wait, that's a bit better now, isn't it? Wait. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's starting after 8 seconds now. That is weird. You know, I might keep the refire interval at 5, but I'll keep that at 0.2. Alright, so that's it for... That's your spinner minigame done. Although, if you want to add some music, I suppose I could show you how to do that. So we're gonna find something. Not really sure what to use. Let's say Mario Kart Coconut Mall. Let's say the Coconut Mall theme. Please don't sue me, Nintendo. Strictly for educational purposes, okay? Actually, that I'm gonna sync it. It starts with that 7 seconds. So I tell you what, I will keep it at 3, but I'll start it after 4. Or you can, or if I keep it at 5, okay, let's just do the old ripperoo. Too many dot. I just use .is. Please don't give me spam. Please don't give me crapware. Oh, this is a different site now, isn't it? This isn't why too many dot. I always use .is. Just think it's a bit better. And you get less crapware on here. Where are we? So. Like 7.5, but we'll just do 7. I will just keep the whole thing here because it doesn't really matter. But I will lower the bit rate to let's say 96. Although that's probably gonna sound terrible, but I usually call it like spinner theme. You can call it whatever you want. Spinner theme, because that's gonna be spinner music. Let's have a listen, shall we? You know, you don't need that much quality. You know, it's only for spinner, isn't it? You don't want to. You also don't want to have too much of a file size. See, look, that's 1.62 megabytes already. In fact, you know what? I could probably lower that. I wonder if I could get away with. I could probably get away with 80. Because remember that the bit rate that's for both channels here. Let's see how that sounds. See, look, I've made it 0.30 megabytes lower, or whatever that is in bytes. 1 megabyte is 1024 kilobytes. I don't care what any. That's good enough for spinner. That's more acceptable, I think. probably lower it even more, but then it really would start to be a bit bad. Let's put it there, shall we? So I like them to be spaced evenly. Spinner music. I'll call it the same as what the MP3 is called. Right, spinner music. Play everywhere, but uncheck is not looped, because even though it's not a looped sound, it makes sure that it will turn off on the next round, otherwise it will just keep playing. And so we're gonna fiddle with this again. I'll tell you what, we'll keep that on 5, but we'll give it a 2-second delay here, so then that will be 7 by the time it starts, and we'll keep doing it after 5, because the music track lasts a bit, so we don't want it to be over too quickly. Okay, so that's it for spinner really. Let's go in and just test it, just to see that it is working. Oh yeah, well we've also got to we've got to actually start the music. That would help, otherwise it won't do anything. I tend to do it 1 second after. Like personally, I prefer to do it 1 second like after it's been picked, which of course in that case means I will have it at 3, because then it will still, by the time it plays, it'll be in time. Because normally no one's really listening to the first few notes, because they're like, oh, I've just been teleported. You can do it how you want. Really add the arena thing already.
I know the way to do it!
Can you hear the music?
Hey, give us a hand!
Hey, let's go. And see, as it ended there, the music stopped. That's because I set I
Let's
unchecked
do it!
So the game thinks it's a looping sound, so it stops it when it resets, even though it's not actually a looping sound.
You're alright.
No, it doesn't loop at all. Well, so you see how the spinner goes yeah, that works. Players are respawning now. Don't worry, they won't be it's just going to get faster. It will just get to the point where it's so fast, you won't be able to keep up. It's going to let us okay, I'll just show you the flags thing. See here on the front rotating, if you want it to go clockwise, check reverse direction, but I'm just going to leave it going that way. So that's the end of this part. In the next part we'll do 9 square, okay?